Is that
Yeah,
is that
that's
accurate?
what people call me.
What's up?
That's what people call me.
Yeah.
I'm just used to it.
Yeah. But okay, let's get into it. Let's would you like to introduce yourself and then talk about how you got into what you're doing, and we can just start going through your portfolio, and then we can finish off with like the future plans.
Yeah, sure. So, first of all, thanks for having me. And
Yeah.
second, as for who I am in the online realms, I am known as Beta Razor, and it has just stuck ever since. In reality, I am James, and I practice environment art. And as for my backstory, you could say I grew up in a family full of people who watch television all the time, but I quickly got bored, so I turned to games as a means of escape, and I just stuck with it all these years. And I've always had that artistic mind, just been
Mm.
able to find out what's in my mind and then just put it onto paper. That transferred to computers much later on. Then, when I found out people actually produce art for games for a living, I thought, oh, I could see myself doing this. And yeah, the rest, they say, is history.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, and we met at DinCon way back.
Oh, that was Nottingham. That was 2 years ago, right?
That yeah, it was 2020 January,
Wow.
January 16th or something like that.
Yeah.
You're getting compliments on your voice. Games commentary. Uh, so okay, so your environment art or environment artist is how you label yourself. I like this just right off of the bat, just that it's super clear which direction you're going. Hey, curious, how you doing? Um, and I guess we could just kind of go in order of the work that's here.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so if we look at, I guess we look at your thumbnails first. So when I look at your thumbnails, um, what we're seeing is you've got a theme with the frame, which is cool, and then you've got the logo. I'm assuming the the marmoset, the marmoset head, um, is elevated because it lines up with either your profile picture or it lines up with the Unreal logo. I'm not. Is it? Do you know why this is like higher up than the rest?
Uh, Good question. Not sure, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the. It's like I poke at every single tiny little weird thing that you wouldn't imagine someone would highlight. But we should like. So I think with the Unreal logo, you could probably just use the U now with the circle, and that would allow you to have less of a footprint, but everyone would know it's oh it's Unreal, okay, and that would let you put the logo down further, and then the same with the marmoset head, like that could totally be lower. Like I think the Substance logo, I keep wanting to put my mouse over it to point at things, but we get the text floating over it. I think the Substance logo, I bet you could just remove the little like pins sticking out, and that would allow you to just clean it up even further. Because I know you want to use that or the green logo so badly.
Hmm. Yeah, I could rearrange it all later.
But I overall your thumbnails are pretty good. Like they're all consistent. It's just that the little logo thing. Maybe the contrast is varying between the pieces. Like the drone piece, for example. Like let me see if I can. I'll just open Photoshop and we can. I'll print screen this section here. Second. You gonna let me have a new window? There we go. Oh, that's not the format. Hang on here. What? There we go. Okay. Cool. Okay. So when we look at the thumbnails, and I don't know if you're watching this on the stream.
Hmm.
If you want,
Yeah,
I can share it in Discord as well. It might make it easier. But yeah, it's this thumbnail specifically. I was noticing the contrast difference. Like if I just press O and burn it a little bit, maybe in the midtones. Oh no, it's got to be shadows. I mean, we'll just level with it, even though the background's gonna kind of toned down. You can see it like it kind of sits better in the range of everything else, and just because of the sheer amount of like the range, it's not as washed out now. You'll see the same with the. I think you'll see the same with this one, with your shader ball, because what you want is to have the full range. You've got a little bit of spikes in like bright pixels, but for the most part, it's all around here. And then if you bring this in a little bit, you end up getting a little bit more pop in your piece. Let's see what else we got. And then I know that this your most recent scene has a bit of fog in it, which tends to wash it out a little. So I think it's actually that one might be okay just because of the atmosphere you're trying to set with it. So that's kind of where I would put. I'm just gonna paste this into your chat so that you don't lose that, and we can keep going here. But yeah, so yeah, Exile's agreeing with the marmoset, the Marmo icon a bit. The spacing on the left and the bottom it's triggering him. um, but yeah, I think I remember when you were making this material. What's the reason for you having a substance material in your portfolio?
Reason for it is because I'm badly out of practice with Substance Designer, and I thought, well, why not relearn it again? And let me tell you, it has been a very big learning curve at that, trying to refresh my mind on all the
Mm.
different types of nodes and trying to understand how they can be linked up together so you can try and understand how materials behave better. And I thought this would probably be a good starting point. So I only uploaded that a few hours ago. So yeah, feel free to take it apart. It's probably not
No,
looking
I
perfect
mean
right now.
it's cool to that you're pushing yourself to like try out and understand materials. I know as like an environment artist, especially in the AAA space, you'll almost never author a material just because they'll have material artists or they'll have large libraries of assets already to just utilize. But I think of the thing I would point out the most maybe with this is maybe let's see here. I'm trying to remember where there it is. Your colors, your albedo looks pretty good. Maybe a tad dark, but it might be the stain that you're going for. And I think maybe the best thing you could do is like take each piece of wood and give them slight value shifts. I don't know if it's the type of wood though, you know what I mean? Like it depends on the floor reference you were using. But if it felt like different types of wood, that would be really good. Um,
Yes, I do realize in
mm.
my haste I forgot to upload the reference image, so I will
Oh
do
yeah,
that soon.
yeah. Reference image is always nice when you're trying to replicate something. Um, and I think the only other thing is taking the normal. Like the normals is pretty good. It depends, I guess, on the type of floor and like if it's really worn or not. Um, because you can see it in the normals, like there's the little gaps between the pieces of wood. And if I remember this wood pretty correctly, it's very like there's kind of a gloss over the top of it, right? So a lot of those details can kind of get softened out quite a bit. It might work to just lower the if you tighten up the little gaps, so they're maybe about half the thickness in the normal map, and then lower the strength of the normal, you'll probably get that feeling of like the glaze on the top because this looks like the wood placed before they put the glaze on to kind of seal it in. But yeah, the other thing too is when you think about glazes, they pour this glaze on top of the wood and they kind of seal it all up, and it's usually quite seamless. But as time goes on and areas wear down, like if you had an area where it's being walked on a lot, that's where you can do a lot of storytelling in the materials. You can start to expose this type of strength in the normal, where it goes from like a glaze to like it's starting to reveal the wood and the crevices and the depths. Um, but overall, I think it's like I've not played with much of this type of material before, so it can get it looks pretty good to me. Again, I'm not a material artist either, so I just think about how stuff exists in reality and how you kind of push it around. Um, oh, that detail's nice. Hang on here. This bottom corner here, you've got, I think it's in your roughness. A little bit in the albedo as well. There's these like lighter areas. That's pretty cool. Did you want to say anything on this one before I jump over to the next
Only
piece?
that I wish to give a shout out to Ben Wilson for
Yeah,
advice free criticism because he's been rather valuable on this matter.
dude,
He's been great.
he's crazy valuable, and he likes to help.
Yeah, he's crazy, crazy good.
Right. So the next one is this drone, dude. I have not played very much Metal Gear, if I'm honest. I think I played the one that was on PlayStation way back in the day, where like you fight a boss and it temporarily kills the connection to the TV, so it looks like the boss has hijacked your TV because he's like
Yeah,
psychic. I forget the
it was Psycho Mantis.
is that Psycho Mantis, dude? What a name! What a name! Um, yeah. Anyways, this is not that Metal Gear. I just see MGS and I'm like, yeah, cool. Um, do you want to talk a little bit about this piece? This is 6 months ago. It looks like.
Yeah, I have invested far too many hours into MGS5, and I was looking around the game one day, and that draw just caught my attention. I thought, maybe I could do this. And once I get started on a task, I don't really tend to stop until it's done. So
Mm.
I just decided to have a good go at it.
Yeah, it's quite terrifying because the type of gun that's mounted to it, it's like that's a drone is carrying that. That's kind of terrifying. Um, so the things that stuck out to me, this is the whole design cracks me up. The thing that stuck out to me is the hard edges that are on this asset. So if you really want to like push um, the quality of your work further, it's those types of details, like the things that make it look like geometry. I think I mention it every once in a while in portfolio reviews. It's like the thing that sticks out. So it's like these hard edges here, or like how you can see like this is a poly and this is a poly. If you can hide those, that's gonna be key. I'm gonna see if I can um, open that and open Blender and show you. But yeah, I guess the other thing is the just the resolution of the gun. With this type of model, I think this is the perfect example of when you could actually find someone or download a gun and it's totally okay. You just state it in the details and you're like, yeah, that gun was from this location, or this artist let me use the gun, and you can link to the artist. Or but let me see if I can just make a I'm like, how do I make a cylinder? But yeah, if I split this off, and I'm just gonna delete this really quick. I'm just gonna pull this up and then add a loop somewhere around here, and then I'll just bring this out just to try and uh, simulate this outer shell edge piece. It looks like I'm sticking out maybe a little far. Um, but I'll go up here, and I think you even have this edge like sharp as well. And I think this is when it's like it's best to let me see if I can grab this, and we'll just add a modifier to it really fast. We'll just solidify it. So this gives it that thickness, right? And we'll do even thickness, and then I'll just apply it. So um, when you're trying to get that surface and those hard edges to go away, the first thing I would say is just start adding bevels, and then it's if you're not gonna do normals, baked normals or anything like that, then the next thing I would say is probably weighted normals, or face weighted normals, I should say. We'll just grab these and just bevel these as well. And I think actually I should grab these ones also. So I'm grabbing most most of these, and you could probably do these with a modifier. That way you're not going crazy with it. And if you smooth all of these, and then you add face weighted normals to it, you should get a pretty good detail where you have like the weighting, uh, tighten up the edges. What's going on here? Keep sharp. Oh, there we go. Okay. Clear sharp. Like, why is that? There we go. Yeah, so you can see like you still get that hard edge that you want in here, and then you still get the side as well, but you get what looks like quite a bit more of a curve or an edge to the detail, like a softer edge. So those are just the things I would watch out for when you're going that route with lower poly. I don't know if the target of this was to be lower. Um, and then yeah, I would say like getting a hold of a gun would be really man, that sounds so weird. Getting a hold of a gun asset from someone would be beneficial because then you can just focus on this. Let's see what else we got here. And I think it kind of goes for the whole mesh. There's areas where you're like, oh, okay, that was straight down, and then it went this way, and then I just took this edge and beveled it, and then this goes down. I think this is more round, which is good, and then it goes down to this little point here. You could just bevel like the edges there to just try and soften it up a little bit, and you'll start to get away from that geometric feeling, which is something that a lot of people struggle with, I think. And then texturing, I'd say the texturing's relatively simple. Are you floating the decals on the geometry, or is
No,
this
those
0 to 1?
floating decals. Those are normal maps.
Oh, for the text, like, are you floating them, or they're like actually
Oh,
part of the mesh?
they're part of the textures. Actually, there's no decals involved.
Okay. And this is in Marmoset. Does Marmoset support that? I don't even know. Like floating like decals with alpha. I guess it would just be an alpha cutout, but you'll get more resolution out of these if you just make like a sheet of all of these stickers and text, and then you can apply it to like floating quads, and if you need like a round logo and whatnot, it's just like another quad. And when you place those, you're gonna get more resolution out of it because maybe you make that texture sheet like a 1024, so everything gets just a little bit higher res. So it's a combination of that and getting resolution there, and then putting a lot more emphasis and logic into where not only the bevels and the geometry, but like what type of material this is, what type of material the lighter material is, and figuring out like how to get them to look like they're in the same space, or they're like textured um, in the same space. And then the ammo box as well, like making sure that the scratches on here kind of make sense with what's happening to the like where the scratches would naturally appear. It's not going too crazy, so I think it's relatively all right. It just, you want to think about the logics of the surfaces and how they interact with the world around them. This is really interesting too, like showing this upside down. It just leads me to like these like vents. Those are totally fine to be textured like that. I would probably still select that area and inset it. That way you just have a little bit more shape happening. And oh, dude, nice. The exclamation mark. That's a great touch. And I like the gradient in the background actually. It's like, I think it's supposed to be from this light, but it does like a really nice effect with the background. Oh, dude, nice. Yeah, and the cutout of the you know what's really funny is I bet it looks like this in the game. Like, you probably, if you could pause the game, you could see the round, because that seems like something that would happen in Metal Gear. And everyone in chat saying it's a weaponized vacuum robot. But yeah, I think with the alpha on the flash, or the muzzle flash, just needs to be like um, cleaned up more. So like right now it's very stylized. It's got like a sharp edge. So there's all these types of like little finer details. That's what's really gonna push the work the furthest. And I wouldn't even worry about like the poly count of this. I'm not sure if you've listed it anywhere. Yeah, like 5,800 triangles. And the machine gun 6,800 triangles. I would turn this up to like the whole asset all together up to like 30,000. Like, let's say you have 30,000 to work with, just to make it look, because you're dealing with a lot of round shapes, so you're just gonna naturally turn it up. But oh, this is a nice presentation too with the. Oh, and I really appreciate this. You didn't have this in your material, but I think you should note this in your texture breakdown, just what order you're seeing this all in. but it's a nice presentation. Cool. Do you have anything else you want to say on this asset? How long did you spend on this?
I think it's about 2 months in total,
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
that's cool. But yeah, hopefully you can take all of the stuff I was talking about and apply it to the. I'm not saying you should go back to this and like rework it. You should always take what you learn and just kind of push your learnings to the next piece. I think Exile in chat. There's no bevel baked onto all those edges via high poly. So are you talking about like this type of stuff? So this is what I guess you would call medium poly modeling, where you end up paying for the geometry instead of like paying for the bake. So you pay for some extra bevels instead of paying for a texture for the normal bake, or you leave the normal bake for other details like these faceted details, which maybe you could either paint on in Substance Painter, or you can do in like some type of a projection process, or like floating decals. But yeah, this is like medium poly approach when you go this route. You could say the alien scene that we're working on right now is probably a little too crazy, but it's in that medium poly approach. But yeah, sorry, James. Is there anything you would like to say on this piece before we jump to the next one?
No, I think that's it. Actually, I'm just a bit more conscious on time, so shall we move on?
Yeah, yeah. Do you want to look at any one of these in particular?
The detective office, the main highlight, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when I looked at this one by comparison of your other stuff, there was definitely a jump in quality, and I think the attention to detail and like all the storytelling that you're doing is really up there. Dude, this guy is spilling cigarettes everywhere. Okay. Do you want to talk about this one before I jump in? Like, what was the goal with this piece?
Um, I got into a phase of watching too many crime and detective police dramas, and to me, it was just Life on Mars that stood out for me the most. And I thought, I see an opportunity here. So I had two primary aims in mind. One was to introduce as much storytelling as possible, simply because I think it's largely overlooked in games, and I'm the kind of player that doesn't rush my way through in-game worlds. I like to take a
Mm-hmm.
closer look and find out if there's a story to be told and try and piece it together. And the second, for me, ultimately was quality because I wanted to make sure I've got an environment piece that demonstrates that's the highest amount of quality possible. And I think I've probably achieved that, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, there's always stuff to improve, right? But
Oh,
like,
of course.
this is dude, the amount of assets you built for this is kind of crazy. How long were you working on this?
Too long. I think
All right.
about a year.
we a year, yeah. I mean, that sounds about right with me as well because I like to dabble and kind of go, oh, that's a great looking donut. Um, anyways, yes, yeah, that sounds. I mean, that sounds accurate. When you're making this many props, I was actually the moment I saw the amount of props. Sorry, I'm just scrolling up and down like crazy. When I saw the amount of props, I was like, okay. I just scrolled here to see if there was like any asset, like third party asset tools you were using, but I didn't. There's nothing here. So you actually went to town. It looks like. Um, yeah. So I guess when it comes down to this scene, uh, the overall presentation is pretty cool, and the framing is really interesting. There's some weird like smoke edge thing here. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe it's like a clipping of the plane. Do you see it? I see it in this video too.
Yeah, actually, it was an issue I had with the fog. It couldn't give me the effect I wanted of a fog shaft coming through the open doors, so I had to create a custom mesh for that and apply
Ah,
a fog material on top.
yeah. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I guess with there's some there's some stuff that you could probably try and do to achieve such a thing. Like you could tie the opacity of it to the camera angle or like to the distance from the camera. So like as you get closer to it, it thins out. So just anything to like make it not stay too long or to have it shift or change would be a nice addition to something like that. But man, I really like how you thought about the windows in the background because I guess they've got all their cubicle walls. They've got the doors here, um, but it's in like a larger space, and so those are the windows outside the building. I'm assuming. Let's see what else we got here. So you did go pretty crazy with the storytelling, which is really cool, and you're showing a lot of understanding of shaders with like the warping and I don't even the what's the word for it? I'm forgetting the
Refraction.
word for it. The refraction. Thank you. The refraction of the objects behind things. I see it in the glass as well. So there's all this like great storytelling and shader control that you're showing. Pushing your surfaces a little bit further in your shaders will go a really long way. I can't tell if you've got detail normals in here, but one thing I'm seeing is if you look at the table, let's see if we can find an angle on it. There's a oh no, where's the angle I saw? Oh, right here. So there's a highlight that's happening on the edges of this, which just leads me to believe that the normals are actually warping around the edge just slightly. And that can either be defeated by using weighted face weighted normals or by just making sure there's a hard edge so that the normals try and stay front facing. Uh, but yeah, it's just something to keep in mind. I think it's very similar to like if you bring in a cube. We'll just bevel this a couple times and then let's just smooth it. So you see how the light's wrapping around that edge? It's kind of like what's
Oh yeah.
happening when you have a light up above that's hitting the top. It's the normals are trying to wrap around the edge of that, and that's what's causing that kind of effect. So I'm seeing that kind of warp along the edge here, and all it would take is to just grab the edge that you can't see on these drawers, for example, and just mark that sharp, and it should just stop the normal from trying to wrap around. Um, and yeah, and then the only other thing I would say on this is like the logics of where where the storytelling is playing. Like you've got tapes here. Maybe the tapes need to be more towards the TV. And seeing there's some over here. It's okay to localize assets to closer to the areas that you would expect them to be around. And then the scale of things like the size of paper, um, and just like I was commenting on the the cigarette stuff. So making sure those are in like a good spot is sounds weird, but it's either someone dropped an ashtray and the cigarette butts went everywhere, or you're just kind of putting them all over the place just to kind of detail up the space. And you could use those as like a way to further push this little corner, which I mean, I think that corner is already pushed pretty far. There's like a lot of stuff going on here, and I love the attention to detail with like the little ash on the table. Uh, but yeah, do you have any questions so far? We are getting tight on that time, like you were saying, so we can like we can go through questions if you want to answer or get some answers on questions or like what you're working on next or your future.
Yeah, I don't think I have any more questions. As for what I'm working on next,
Mm.
it's actually been documented on my own Notion blog page. Did you get the link
Yes.
to that?
Yeah, you linked me that. Can I open that up on here?
Yeah, of course, go for it.
Okay. This is cool. You're the second person I've seen do this. I think it was Jasmine that was the first one I saw start a blog um, through their Notion page, which is really cool. And also, I think what you're showing here, like this, the water part and like the side where the tiles are, is probably one of your better pieces now. Like I can see the progress and the gain in the quality that you've been working towards. This scene is so large though. I would let you. I'll let you decide, but I would say like if you can, you should find ways to, unless you want to challenge yourself, find foliage that you can utilize so that you don't have to spend the time on the foliage and you can just work on the scene overall. But
Mm,
this is really cool. And like I guess as we go further down, we go further back in time, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it looks
right.
like yeah. So this looks like the blockout phase. Yeah, this is cool, man. It's come a long ways for sure. And you're these types of scenes are so hardcore just because of the attention to, or like the amount of detail that tends to be in the surfaces. It's like, here's a lot of detail. Try and balance it. And you're like, ugh. Like, sure. Yeah, this stuff's looking great down here. People are debating about where to throw your cigarettes now in chat. See what you've done. But yeah, I think with this, I would find like right now your shadows are really sharp, and I know it's probably just a block out for lighting. I would take a pass on like where your how far your lights project. Oh man, this is cool. The floor material is looking really nice. Yeah, just take a pass on like the distance in your lights, and then also I guess it's just start getting all the other details in there. I think you need to do like the initial material pass on everything, right? And then you can start to go in and polish and tweak things. And it looks like you're about, what is it, 3/4 there. It's because it's that last 10% is just going to be lots of like iteration and tweaking. The cloth here as well, you're really going to have to like look at those materials. I don't know how well those do in. Are you in Unreal 5 with this, or is this Unreal 4?
Actually, that is Unreal 5 as
Yeah.
of a few days ago.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I don't know if they've solved the cloth stuff, but you should definitely poke around on Discord or look around to see if there's any information on fabrics and how they deal with lumen. I
Oh
think
man,
it's the
yeah,
transparency gets a little funky with it, but they may
yeah,
have fixed that. That was like before the recent launch.
yeah. Those curtains have been an absolute headache to try and pull off, and it's not
Yeah.
100% perfect either. So yeah, you're right. I'm gonna have to go in and fix it at some stage.
Mm. But I mean, it's coming along pretty nicely. I think yeah, I think it's just about getting an initial pass on everything, and then you can go back and start tweaking and adjusting and polishing stuff. Did you have any questions about this scene?
No, actually, I think
All right.
that's it. Are we good for time?
I think so. I think we can jump to the next person if you're all good.
Yep, I think that's it.
Yeah, this is. I appreciate you taking the time. It was super cool to finally have our call. I think you applied, I don't know, a while back, and we were like, oh, something came up, or I want to make sure I get this scene done first. And I was like, all right, let's do it. We'll shift to this spot and we'll make it work. But dude, it's super good to chat with you. It's been a
Yeah,
while.
absolutely. And I didn't want to delay it anymore. So yeah, once this is done, I can just continue to add things to the portfolio. It's really not a big deal.
Yeah, it is all good. All right, man. I guess I'll talk to you later then.
Of course, and again, thanks for having me. Have a good one.
Of course. See you later.